Good lyrics, bad lyrics, number 3. Hi, welcome to Garage Geek. So today we are going to interrupt our regularly scheduled program because yesterday Gordon Lightfoot died, and I wanted to pay tribute to him in some way. Now, the last time someone died, Harry Belafonte, I didn't really know what to do, so all I did was pull out my albums and showed them. But I felt that kind of tribute is fine, but it felt like I was focusing on me and not on Harry Belafonte. So I think that this is a more fitting tribute that I can give to focus on his actual music. So I hadn't planned to do Gordon Lightfoot. I was going to do him eventually, but because of his death, I'm going to switch the one that I had planned for today, and I'm going to focus on the song Canadian Railroad Trilogy by Gordon Lightfoot. So let's go ahead and look at some of the lyrics and why I feel that these are great lyrics. Now, before we do that, actually, let's talk a little bit about the structure of the song. Now, it's called Canadian Railroad Trilogy because it has 3 parts. This song also covers 3 time periods in my mind. One is before the railroad, next is during the railroad, and then the final part is the future or after the railroad. But the song's main focus is on the time of the railroad. It also switches narrator. Let's go ahead and look at some of the lyrics. Now, the opening stanza is, there was a time in this fair land when the railroad did not run, when the wild, majestic mountains stood alone against the sun. Long before the white man and long before the wheel, when the green dark forest was too silent to be real. This stanza is talking about before colonialism. And I guess that is one criticism some people might have about this song, is that it might be glorifying colonialism. But I don't see it that way. I just see him describing what happened in history. Because in many ways, this song is a lament to the different changes that happened. And those changes are still happening now. But the lines are beautiful. Of course, they rhyme. It's a run, sun, wheel, reel. So you've got that AABB. But, he describes the mountains as majestic, standing against the sun. And then this is long before the white men. And then the next stanza, we have the advent of colonialism, basically. But time has no beginning and history has no bound. As to this verdant country, they came from all around. So we're talking about the colonizers coming and taking over the once green country, and they're going to transform it. They sailed upon her waterways, and they walked the forests tall, built the mines, mills, and the factories for the good of us all. And so that line can also be ironic, right? So was this for the good of us all? I mean, it certainly helped in the progress of history. And the next stanza is, now the song changes its tempo. We're going to skip a couple of stanzas. We're not going to go through the entire thing. So in this part of the song, the second part, the tempo increases. And so the lines aren't going to be uniform. We're going to focus on 2 lines. Bring in the workers and bring up the rails. We're going to lay down the tracks and tear up the trails. These lines are really an homage to the change that progress makes, where it will destroy what came before it. Here we got a mention of the trails, which would obviously be hearkening to the native Canadians and how the colonizers just come in and rip everything up and put what they do in the name of progress. Now the next stanza slows the song down. We get a very melancholy feeling. And so he wants to let it be known that there are people who did this. And we can't forget that these people, right, they came from distant places in order to better their lives, but they left people behind. And if anybody's ever been in that situation where you've had to go overseas, especially 20 or 30 years ago, when communication was difficult, right? There weren't cell phones. So if you ever went overseas for an extended period of time, like I did, you were cutting yourselves off. And at this time, they would have gone probably for their lives, and they might not ever see those people again. I mean, the journey would have lasted, 6 to 8 weeks minimum. And of course, it was very dangerous and disease-ridden. But the lines go, behind the blue Rockies, the sun is declining. The stars, they come stealing at the close of the day. So we've got nature representing the feelings that are going to come in the next couple of lines. Across the wide prairies, our loved ones lie sleeping beyond the dark ocean in a place far away. So if you look out over the prairies, and beyond the prairies is the ocean, and that's where our loved ones are, and that's where they're lying. And it's this feeling of nostalgia that he creates. And he continues by using we. We are the navvies who work upon the railway, swinging our hammers in the bright blazing sun, living on stew and drinking bad whiskey, bending our backs till the long days are done, laying down track and building the bridges, bending our back till the railroad is done. And so, of course, we're getting personal. He makes it about the we, and talking about all the hard work that they have to do, breaking their backs to get this done, and how hard their lives are, like living on stew and bad whiskey. The final stanzas of this song harken back to the beginning, but I'm not going to go to those stanzas. I'm going to just do one more stanza before that, because the length of the lines change again, and they're kind of rapid fire, but it's the part about the future. Oh, the song of the future has been sung. All the battles have been won. On the mountaintops we stand, all the world at our command. We have opened up this soil with our teardrops and our toil. So not only is it alliterative, like I said, the music, the length of the lines adjust to the music, and this is the part that harkens to the future. They've already conquered, and they've already built the railroad, and they've given up so much for it. Like, what are we going to do next? We've already conquered this. Where do we go from here? Now, even though this is by a Canadian, and it's called the Canadian Railroad Trilogy, to me, this could have been written about the United States. The same process happened here. And I just think in that way, this song can be universal, because I don't think it just happened in the United States and Canada. It happened throughout the world, the March of Progress. I just think this is a brilliantly written song, and I love how it has parts and how the rhythm changes. And of course, he sings it so beautifully. This song, if you let it in, can be extremely moving. Okay, so now it's time for the bad lyrics segment. Now, the bad lyrics today are going to be because I think the lyrics are disgusting. They're not necessarily bad, but the ideas that they represent to me are just kind of skeevy. And that is going to be Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones. In fact, this might be the song that kind of turned me off the Rolling Stones. I've never really liked the Rolling Stones all that much. And like I said, I used to hear this song on the radio all the time when I was younger, and I just think that the lyrics to this were just gross. So in the first stanza goes, Gold Coast slave ship bound for cotton fields, sold in a market down in New Orleans. Scarred old slaver, know he's doing all right. Hear him whip the women just around midnight. So this song starts out about slaves, people being taken from their land and then sold in a slave market and then being used by their masters for sexual pleasure. Hear him whip the women just around midnight. Because of the rest of the song, you can understand that he is going in there and whipping those women so that he can have his way with them. So he's beating them for his pleasure. And then the next line is, brown sugar, how come you taste so good? Brown sugar, just like a young girl should. And later in the song, just like a black girl should. Now, coming directly right off of that, and it's sung by Mick Jagger, I just imagine Mick Jagger like enjoying a young girl and having his face between her legs and going to town. And he's much older. And these lyrics are just gross. He refers to these young girls who are, basically slaves and being tortured and beaten for sexual favors. And then the next line is him enjoying them and basically eating them out. It's gross, and this shouldn't be on the radio. I mean, brown sugar, how come you taste so good? Just like a young girl should. And not only that, they're taking advantage of young, underage women. So overall, I just think this song is in poor taste. And now, you could argue that Mick Jagger is taking on a persona of a slaver who's doing horrible things, but they seem to enjoy doing what they're doing. I don't know, this song just rubs me the wrong way because how it's hooked to slavery, how it's hooked to race, and how it's hooked to torture and sadism, frankly, because you're enjoying and taking advantage of someone else's pain for sexual favors. To me, these are some of the worst lyrics because of what they represent. Now, I'm sure people are going to disagree with me. This is how I interpret this song, and to me, the song is skeevy and disgusting. We're going to end there, and I'm going to say thank you for your support.